Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Guys, Shanks has always been one of the most enigmatic characters in One Piece. Since his first appearance in Chapter 1, it was clear that he was much more than just an ordinary pirate. The respect Garp showed him, the way Whitebeard treated him in Chapter 434, and the fact that even the Gorosei agreed to meet with him in Chapter 907, all of this shows that Shanks holds a special place in the One Piece world. But what if, beyond all this influence, he is actually as strong as the Pirate King himself? If we analyze Shanks' feats and compare them with what we know about Roger, it is possible that he has reached a level of power very close to that of the man who was the freest in the world. In Chapter 434, when Shanks meets Whitebeard, we see one of the first hints of his overwhelming strength. The mere clash of their swords was enough to split the sky, something we saw happen when Roger and Whitebeard fought in Chapter 966. This already places Shanks at the same level as the legends of the previous era. But what really stands out is that unlike Roger, who either had an unknown devil fruit or none at all, Shanks also appears to rely solely on his swordsmanship and absolute mastery of Haki to achieve this level of power. This means that everything he has accomplished comes purely from his own skill. In Chapter 1054, when Shanks appears near Wano and decides not to meet Luffy, we see that his presence alone has a devastating effect. He uses Conqueror's Haki from a distance to make an admiral retreat, something no one else has done in such a direct manner. Green Bull, who had been acting arrogantly and confidently, immediately realized that staying there was not an option. This demonstrates that Shanks has such absolute control over Conqueror's Haki that he can affect enemies even from miles away. And considering that Roger was known for his monstrous Haki, this already establishes a strong parallel between them. But perhaps the most significant point lies in Chapter 1044, when Luffy awakens his true form and transforms into the sun god Nika. This raises a question. Did Shanks know about this from the beginning? In Chapter 1018, Who's Who mentions that the world government always wanted to hide the existence of the fruit that Luffy ate, which means that Shanks stole something of extreme importance when he took that devil fruit in the past. If he already knew that this was the fruit destined to belong to Joy Boy, then Shanks has access to information far beyond what any ordinary pirate possesses. And if this is true, then perhaps he shaped his own strength based on this knowledge. Knowing that the devil fruit he stole was destined to change the world, he may have trained his abilities to the absolute limit, making himself one of the few pirates capable of facing this new era. In Chapter 1079, when Shanks defeats Kid with a single attack, we see clear proof that he is not only at the top, but that his strength is unmatched. Kid, one of the most promising supernovas, was completely defeated before he even had a chance to react. Taking all of this into account, perhaps the reason Shanks is on the same level as the Pirate King is directly tied to his combat philosophy. While other characters rely on their devil fruits or special weapons, Shanks seems to have pushed Haki to its absolute limit. This makes perfect sense when we remember what Rayleigh said in Chapter 597, explaining that Haki can surpass even the most absurd devil fruit powers. If Shanks has become a true master of this ability, then he might have reached a level where he can truly be compared to Roger himself. But there is one more interesting detail. In Chapter 966, we see that Roger and Whitebeard fought on equal footing, with the clash of their swords altering the environment around them. And in Chapter 1047, when Kaido states that only those with truly powerful Haki can rule, it reinforces the idea that Shanks is one of the few who could genuinely compete at the level of the Pirate King. So, what if Shanks already knew that Luffy would be the one to inherit the true spirit of Joy Boy? If he has always had this information, then perhaps he spent years preparing for this moment. He may have refined his technique and expanded his power to the absolute limit to ensure that when the time came, he would be at his peak. And perhaps the greatest evidence of this is the fact that even without having conquered the One Piece, he remains one of the most respected figures in the world. In Chapter 1055, when Ryokugyu mentions that none of the Emperors of the Sea are just a name, he is essentially admitting that Shanks is one of the few individuals whose power is recognized even by the Navy. Taking all of this into account, the real reason why Shanks might be at the same power level as the Pirate King is that he has achieved something that very few have. He has mastered Haki to its fullest potential, relying on nothing but his own strength. This places him on a level where he can face anyone, even those with the most absurd devil fruit abilities. And if he ever fights Luffy, it could become one of the most legendary battles in all of history. The observation Observation Haki is one of the most complex abilities in the world of One Piece. Through it, the user can predict their opponent's movements with impressive accuracy. However, Shanks goes beyond that. His ability to foresee the future is not limited to just a second or two. He is able to observe events with a greater time margin, allowing him not only to react with anticipation, but also to shape the battle according to his will. It's as if he sees the future, not just as a sequence of events, but as something fluid and changeable. He can predict his enemy's movements and act before any attack is even launched, changing the course of the fight in his favor. This control over the future with Observation Haki elevates Shanks to an incomparable level. He doesn't rely on Akuma no Mi or supernatural powers to be unbeatable. His true strength lies in his ability to manipulate events, constantly adapting to any situation. This makes him one of the most powerful and strategic pirates, capable of understanding his enemy's intentions and intervening effectively. What makes Shanks even more fascinating is the fact that he doesn't use this ability just as an advantage in battles. He uses Observation Haki to shape the future around him. As a master of Haki, he is able to see multiple possibilities and choose the action that will have the best outcome. This goes beyond simply avoiding attacks. He can act in a way that ensures victory is his, no matter what his opponents try to do. And as his predictive ability develops, he likely anticipates even the most unexpected moves of other warriors. In terms of power, Shanks is in a league of his own. He is not just physically strong, but a natural strategist, capable of predicting what his enemies will do and in turn nullifying their advantages. He is a master of anticipation, which makes him far more dangerous than any simple warrior. His power goes far beyond a mere battle skill. He is a force in constant evolution, shaped by circumstances and the ability to see what is coming. Another fascinating aspect of Shanks' Observation Haki is the way he can perceive not only events in battle, but also the emotions and intentions of others. He can read the people around him with impressive clarity. This reflects not only his fighting ability, but also his shrewdness and wisdom. Shanks understands the world not only with his eyes, but with his mind. And it's this sharp perception that makes him such a formidable leader. By combining his Observation Haki with his mastery of Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki, Shanks becomes an unstoppable force. He is the type of character who can change the course of a war, not just with his physical abilities, but with his deep understanding of what is happening around him. He has a clear vision of the future and can act strategically to ensure the outcome is always in his favor. Unlike other characters who rely on external abilities, Shanks bases his strength on the purity of his Haki skills, which places him on a completely different level from any other warrior. And if we talk about the general power of characters in One Piece, we must recognize that the current generation has surpassed the power levels of previous generations. Shanks is a clear example of this. When compared to figures from the past, such as Roger and Whitebeard, it is notable that the new generation of pirates, including Luffy, Zoro, and others, is constantly reaching power levels that exceed the limits of previous generations. However, even within this new generation, Shanks stands out not only as a Yonko, but for his exceptional ability to shape the future around him and dominate all forms of Haki. What do you think? Comment below. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.